Hello and welcome to today's pandemic update video for Thursday, August 4th, 2022. Nearly 98% of all counties in this country are at high or substantial levels of transmission. Just over 2% make up moderate to low levels of transmission in the United States. Taking a look at today's variant proportions, 85.5% of the country is in the BA.5 variant. The BA.4 variant makes up 7.7% of the cases, and the new BA.4.6 variant of concern is up to 4.1% of the cases. And that is something now I'm going to start taking more seriously. Remember in the last few days I'm saying it's probably not going to gain much ground, it's not going to overtake the cases. In a few states it has gained ground, so it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Perhaps maybe instead of another BA.5 wave when back to school happens, maybe BA.4.6 is the next wave that we see. Who knows? Too soon to say. We'll see how much it grows on next week's data. BA.2.12.1 makes up 2.6 of the cases. 2.6% of the cases. Excuse me. Today there were 123,327 new cases in the United States, which is slightly down from last week at this time, which that's a good thing. However, deaths for today are up. 558 new deaths reported for today. And I should remind you, there's this little disclaimer here. BNO never finished updating. See, I click on Daily Report. It hasn't. So these are not the final numbers. Maybe a little bit more gets added on. But deaths are continuing to go up. Last week, I believe there were between 3,000 and 3,100 deaths. This week, it's going to probably be closer to 3,200 deaths by the week's end, depending on what tomorrow's numbers do. I mean, there's a lot of deaths this week, and that's not good. Testing, 494,648 tests were added today. That's lower than I would like to see. Hospitalizations actually dropped today, so that's a good thing. And you're going to see that as we go into the states. There are multiple states where hospitalizations are dropping today. It is very clear to me the BA.5 wave is on the other side of the peak. We're on the descent now, where it's falling. And remember, deaths lag cases and hospitalizations, so death wave, that's going to last several more weeks. So 42,966 people in the hospital. That's down by 350. Good news. ICUs are also down. 4,973, down by 45. So overall, some good news today. And if you look at it, I was one of the first people to actually call that there was going to be a peak. I'm not trying to gloat or anything, but a lot of people are saying, oh, it's not going to peak to the end of the August. That's not true. Look at this map here. The majority of states, except from the far north states, which I've been saying all along, saying for some time now, I should say, that the furthest north states are still going to probably keep rising. Maine, Vermont, Michigan's kind of flat. The Dakotas, that's another example. Not all those states had a true BA.5 wave, and there's definitely room to infect more people there, and I think that's going to happen. Alaska's another one. Alaska's up 27%. But for the rest of the country, it is dropping, and that includes Pennsylvania. I don't know why it's saying up 11% for Pennsylvania. Week over week, we're actually down 2% from our state reported numbers. Coming down here to deaths, you can see here, some states have some really big-time increases in deaths. North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, Colorado, Oregon, all having increases in deaths. Take a look at today's cases. California will report tomorrow. They did not report today. Texas, 10,597 cases today. That's down from last week. Florida, 11,381. Slightly down from last week. New York State, 7,900 new cases. About flat from last week, I think. Illinois, down from last week, 4,100 new cases. Ohio, weekly report today, 27,785 cases. That is coming up as down 7% from last week on here. New Jersey, 3,600 new cases. That is definitely down from last week. Tennessee, 3,400 new cases, down from last week. Massachusetts, this is a weekly number, 10,584 new cases, slightly down from last week. Virginia, just over 3,000 cases, slightly down from last week. Wisconsin, 2,122 cases. That's down 7.1% over last week at this time. Colorado, almost 2,000 cases, down from last week by 9.7%. Minnesota, 10,442 new cases, up slightly from last week. And again, that's one of the further north states that I think there's room for cases to grow for a bit from the BA.5 wave, because they never really had a major wave. Alabama, 2,400 new cases. Louisiana, 2,000 new cases. And look at this, Louisiana's actually down 15.6% now. That's really good. Maryland, 1,900 new cases. Kind of flat. Oklahoma, 651 new cases. Don't know if that's multi-day, but it's down 34.9%. Utah, weekly number, 5,100 new cases. That's down 59.6%. And Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is yet again starting to rise. 3,950 new cases. That is up 23.2% over last week. So Puerto Rico is in this long rotation wave that seems to be flopping around all over the place. Mississippi, 1,500 new cases. That's down 9.3% from last week. And finally, let's come down here to Maine. Maine, 314 new cases today. That's up 4.3%. Maine's another one. I think they have room to grow. I could see them do 500-600 cases a day in the coming weeks as the BA.5 wave continues to grow in that state. All right, HHS hospitalizations. It still goes round and around here, but I can tell you from seeing it on mobile, it is very close to the BNO number, and it did drop slightly today. Walgreens data, 36.9% positivity on the national level. And we come over here to Maine. Check this out. Maine's now up 5.9% for 26.9% positivity, which is also continuing to lead me to think Maine has room to grow because the Walgreens positivity tracker is a leading indicator of what's going to happen in the days to come for cases. Or at least from my experience, I've noticed that. Let's take a look at the Dakotas. North Dakota is up 10% for a 27.9% positivity. South Dakota's up to 41.3% for a 9.1% positivity. But keep in mind here, testing is slightly down, but also they're going to be having Sturgis pretty soon. Wyoming, 38.4% positivity. Oklahoma, 38.9% positivity. California, 43.9% positivity. North Carolina, 35.4% positivity. And Florida, 36.8%. Texas, 42.8% positivity. Speaking of Texas, on the state level, they're continuing to drop, now down to 28.63%. And their hospitalizations are continuing to drop, down to 3,497. So more good news. New York State, 7,906 new cases, 8.6 positivity rate. Hospitalizations did take a good bit of a drop today, 2,628. Again, New York State has peaked on the cases and hospitalizations. Now they're just going to have whatever death wave comes out of this. Taking a look at today's cases around the world, and we will see here that it's kind of a mixed picture here. India is 16,561 cases, France 33,000, Brazil 37,166, but Brazil had 258 deaths today. Italy is continuing to have high deaths, 42,959 new cases, 161 deaths. So you'll notice here, though France and Italy dropped, more so Italy, the drop has slowed. It has definitely slowed, and they have leveled off at a pretty high level, considering the size of their country. So that is concerning. Japan. Japan added another 231,597 cases. That's really bad. Plus 157 deaths. South Korea, 107,849 new cases and 34 deaths. Australia, cases continue to drop. 37,261 new cases, 85 new deaths. All right, real quickly, monkeypox outbreak. For today, 914 new cases of monkeypox were added around the world. The United States added 485, Spain 67, Germany 58, Brazil 118, and Portugal 77. In Europe, there is a slight slowing trend of the monkeypox outbreak. In the United States, not really a slowing trend, but not rising as much as last week, but it's been more smoothed out throughout the week. We haven't had any day this week where there's a big increase in cases, but there's a disclaimer I want to tell you about. California, and there could be other states, I don't know about all the other states. California cases are significantly higher than what the CDC has reported, so there's likely at some point to be a pretty significant jump in United States cases, because there is still a backlog, despite the better reporting that was supposed to happen. So we'll see what happens. We're up to 7,102 cases in the United States. Probably within the next week or two, that's going to quickly pass 10,000. Might even do that by next week at some point. All right, my daily reminders to you are to continue to wear a mask, continue to social distance, wear gloves to get groceries, wear gloves to get gas. Stay safe, everyone, and remember, we're all in this together until it finally ends, which no one knows when that's going to be. Remember to hit like and subscribe down below and share these videos as much as you can, because the pandemics are not over. Have a good night. See you next time, everyone.